All right, we're back. It is COMP2007, that's Enterprise Computing, summer 2016, and it's week 12, part 2 of our broadcast. We're talking about the shopping cart, and we're going to use a little bit of jQuery with TypeScript to kind of make it all work nice. Okay, let's see how we're going to make this work out. Okay, so we're at this point where we're in the walkthrough where we're going to add some AJAX updates with jQuery. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the shopping cart view model, right, as an example to create this shopping cart index item. All right, so we're going to click on in our shopping cart controller. So here's our shopping cart controller. We're going to go to the index of our shopping cart controller, and we're going to right click and we're going to click on Add View. All right, Add View. When we do this, it's going to ask us, hey, what kind of view do you want to make? And if you notice here, it says, let's use the shopping cart view model class, right, with a list. No. And the reason why is because they're going to revamp everything anyway. So I recommend you just make it an empty controller again, right, empty without model, right, and we're going to click Add. Okay, here it is, empty without model. What I want to do is I'm going to copy this stuff for a second, and we're going to change everything in a few minutes as well. All right, so here's everything from the index, and we're going to paste. Now we need some stuff. We need to change a few things here. We're going to mention the stuff we're going to change. Here, first thing, MVC store doesn't work. We're going to make it so it's our context. So it's comp. We'll type it in. Comp 2007, summer 2016, lesson 12C, and then it's view model dot shopping cart view model. That's what we're using there for the context. That's the model that we're using for our index for our shopping cart. Number one. Two, we can't do this. This is impossible. This is not going to work for us. In our view, we can't use an embedded script. First of all, embedded scripts, bad. Not good for security purposes, and we want to separate our concerns. So we want to put our script in another file, right? So two things. Let's get rid of this. And on that, I want to mention where jQuery is being added already in. jQuery is already being added into our stuff. If I look at my solution, and if I go down to my views, and if I look at shared layout.cshtml, you can see that there is a listing for rendering the jQuery bundle here on line 40, right? So we don't need to add in jQuery. It's already being added in, right? What I need to do is add in a reference to my scripts right in here. That requires us to make our own bundle. In order to make our own bundle, we have to make our own file. And we're going to call this file app.ts for TypeScript. Let's take a look. So going back to this one, I've got this little piece of code here that's embedded in our file. We're going to take this whole code, right? I'm going to cut it out. Here's I've cut it out now. And I'm going to make my own or my new script file under my scripts folder. I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a new TypeScript file. Right? Now it's going to say what is it going to be called? We're just going to call this app.ts and press OK. It's going to say, hey, do you want to add the TypeScript stuff support for your project? We're going to say yes. And it's going to take us to NuGet in a second. All right? But for now, let's copy and paste, right, or paste our code. Notice that we're getting an error, and we'll get an error in a second for the $sign. It says, hey, what is this $sign thing you speak of? Because TypeScript and JavaScript doesn't know anything about it, right? In order for us to get code hinting for TypeScript, we need to add in some typings through NuGet. So I'm going to go save this one. I'm going to go to NuGet. And under my NuGet, under TypeScript, I can see that automatically it's asked me to add in some jQuery TypeScript definition library. We can add that in. If you wanted to search for it by yourself, you can just search for TypeScript. If I search for that, you can see all the TypeScript definition libraries. We want just the first one, which is jQuery. I want to click on this little download button, or you can click install, one of the two. And then it just grabs the type definition library for jQuery and adds it into our project under a typings folder that's inside of our scripts folder. It's automatic. All right, that's good. So now we can get rid of the NuGet. And if I go back to my app.ts, you can see that I have a reference now for jQuery, and now my TypeScript file knows about jQuery. Okay, for those people who are smart, what is this structure here that I've got going on for jQuery? This structure that I've got. Let's take a look and see if the people in the class can detect what this is. What is it? What does jQuery do for us when we use this structure? Anybody? The first two classes got it. Let's see if you guys get it. How about Chris? What is this structure in jQuery? If I look at this structure here, this and this last one, these two pieces, what does this mean? Anonymous function. Well, what kind of anonymous function is it? Anybody? How about Miss Cindy? No clue. You're not a jQuery person? It's an IFI. It's the way we do an IFI with jQuery. But let's clarify this. So it really should look like this. Function, right? And then this anonymous function is here. And then to finish off the IFI, it should look like this, right? So that is what it is. This thing is a closure, a self-executing anonymous function, if you will, or an immediately invoked function expression is what it is. It's called. And what this does is it's going to immediately invoke this function and anything inside of it as soon as it accesses this script. Okay, this is one part of it. Now I know a couple things. One is, if you notice, what it's doing is it's looking for an attribute of data ID inside of a view, and it's getting the ID for the view and passing it into the record to delete. If I hover over record to delete, TypeScript knows that it's got to be a string. I might as well type it as a string. And the other thing I want to do, instead of using vars, TypeScript allows us to use a new ES6 method or variable declaration called let that prevents any kind of variable hoisting. I also know a couple things. I know for sure that this is going to fail, right? What it's doing is saying, hey, well, you're going to use Ajax to post the shopping cart at this particular URL. But notice that it's trying to combine these two together. But it has no idea of what to do, right? So what this really should look like is something like this. It should be, well, plus my record to delete. So I'm modifying this little snippet from the web so it works. Now this will work. And that's it. So that is our app.ts file, right? And our app.ts file is going to add support so that way when we click remove from cart, it's going to look at the cart ID and remove that item and pass that information into our controller on the back end, right? So that way we can remove from cart based on the ID that I add into the string. This is the URL that's going to have it. So we're going to use this post in order for us to do that. Okay, this is cool. And it also uses a little bit of jQuery to create almost like a fade out effect. So it's not going to be a fast deletion, it's going to be slow. So kind of a neat little effect that we're going to use. Okay, cool. That's what this thing does. One more thing that I'd like to do, since we're using TypeScript, I always like to add in my own custom compiler options. So I'm going to right click on the project, go add, new item. And what I want to do here is add a new JSON object. All right, and the JSON file is going to be a tsconfig.json file, tsconfig.json, and click add. This is going to be on the root of my document. And the reason why I want to do this, I can control my compiler options. If I go compiler options, see, Visual Studio knows about tsconfig.json. I can put in, first of all, I want to have the target. My target is going to be ES5. So even though I'm using some ES6 features, I'm going to target ES5. Next one is my module type is going to be common.js. And I also want to enable source maps so that I can get some good debugging information when I do my JavaScript. One more thing is I want to make sure that I compile on save. And that's true. So when I save my objects, I compile on save and we're good to go. Now it's enabled here, which is a good thing. So I've got my tsconfig.json file. And remember that browsers don't know anything about TypeScript. If you want to know more about TypeScript, we talked about this the last time we did COMP2007. If I go to typescriptlang.org, TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript that adds syntactic sugar and gives us code hinting information, right? As well as strong typing and tooling to let us know when there's errors, so it can prevent errors before they happen, right? And again, if you want to learn about TypeScript, if you don't know about them, you can always go to Playground and check out an example of doing object-oriented code, like creating a person class. Here's an example that I put up online there that it remembers. And this is the JavaScript that it emits. So you can create much more complex structures with TypeScript that emit to pure JavaScript that are cross-platform compatible. It's really the way to write JavaScript these days for larger applications. For our little application, did I really need to use TypeScript? No. But the great thing about it is it gave some good code hinting to how to fix this problem. When I was working on this problem, when it wasn't working, TypeScript saved the day. Okay, let's take a look. So I've got this piece. I've got all my TypeScript definitions ready to go. And I've got my little app.ts. I want to create a bundle configuration for my shopping cart. And I want to add that into my layout.cshtml in order for me to use my little app.ts file. So how do I do that? First, let's go into my bundle config. So if I look at my bundle config, it's under app start. Here's my bundle config. And if I go down here, I want to create a new bundle. And I wish, like I said to some people earlier today, I wish like we had an easy way to create bundling for the web for open source technologies. There isn't really much. There's one Webpack. It's pretty cool. A little bit complex to use. And also Browserify. Those are the two main ones that I've seen lately. Kind of cool. There's other bundlers as well, but there's nothing that really does this right now. So I want a new script bundle. And then what we want to say is we want to give a friendly name. Here's the virtual path, right, of what the bundle is going to look like. So it's going to look under bundles, and we're going to call this shopping cart, right? That's my shopping cart bundle. And then we're going to include any scripts we want. We only want to include one script, which is going to be inside of our scripts folder, right? So tilde scripts, and then it's going to be called app.js, not TS, because browsers don't know about TypeScript. It's only for us. And that's our new bundle we made, a new bundle for the shopping cart. Bundling is awesome, and you can bundle a bunch of scripts together. And we make bundles for scripts if you want to combine, related scripts together. And in the future, if we're going to add other kind of JavaScript related or jQuery related files for the shopping cart, we could add other scripts in there, and they'd all load in the order we want. So really cool. Okay, so that's that one. Let us not just do this. Let us go into the layout CSHTML now and call the script. So we're going to say at scripts.render. That's funny. And we're going to call the bundles shopping cart script. That's it. And if you want to check that, again, I'm adding it underneath jQuery. So jQuery triggers first, then Bootstrap, and then our shopping cart scripts. And remember, on our bundle config, we're getting our shopping cart script right here. This is the virtual path or alias for our shopping cart script, which really points to scripts app.js. All right. Okay, cool. So we've got this done. So our bundle config is done. Here's my layout.cshtml, right? We've done our app.ts. That's pretty cool. And now we've got to modify our index.cshtml, this broken thing that we were given. We take out the reference to the script here. So this got to come out. So you can't have that anymore. And this can't be broken over 2 lines, unfortunately. Visual Studio will complain. So it's looking to go to something called address and payment. We don't have that because that's part of something called a checkout controller we haven't made yet, okay? So that's what the final button is going to be. This button that says checkout is going to take us there, all right? It's going to display the album name, the price for each album, the quantity. We're just going to run through a for each loop. Let's just fix this up again as well. I don't like how it's kind of laid out. So I like this, but let's make it a little bit more even. And it's going to look like that. And as we roll forward, everything else seems to be good. So it's going to create a little table for us. Now, could I put this table in, for example, with Bootstrap? I could. I could surround this with Bootstrap and add some additional code in here. If we have time later on, I'll go and fix it up and make the cart look really nice. For now, let's leave it alone. Okay, let's move on. So we've got this piece, we've got the cart, we got the view for the cart. All right, as an example, let's continue over here. And we did this piece. We want to definitely add in, so what we're going to have now is, now that we have the cart, we want to be able to modify our music store, our details for the music store, so it doesn't just show the details view. It also has an add to cart button. We need an add to cart button, or else we're not going to have a button, right? So let's change our, I'm going to change up my, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to change my details view from my store controller. So I'm going to go to my store controller, and the views under store. We want to change the details view here, details view. We're going to change this view and add an add to cart button. So Control V. And now we're going to fix this again. They always break it over 2 views. This is not going to work because Visual Studio complains. What this is going to do is going to add inside of our view, an add to cart button that's going to take us to the cart. All right, so we have everything we need here to make the shopping cart work. Okay, now this is the $1 million section. This is code first migrations we're going to get to. We've got everything. It's working, but it's not going to work. And it's not going to work because we're adding 3 new tables. They have different relations to the old tables. How do we make this all function? Okay, let's take a look. First things first, let's get rid of some of this stuff so we don't have to look at it right now. And for a reason, I want to kind of clear this up for you. We do code first migrations on the console. And some people love the console, some people hate the console. We're going to use the package manager console in order for us to do that. I have mine parked down here. If you want to get to it, you can go to View, Other Windows, Package Manager Console. All right, that's where you want to go to that. All right, this is kind of critical stuff to know. I'll go to my Package Manager Console here. All right, I want to enable migrations. That's what I want to do. Enable migrations, because I've added all these 2 tables up. Okay. The name of the command I got to use is enable-migrations. So let's try this out. It's going to fail. All right. So enable-migrations. And the reason why it's going to fail is because I have 2 contexts. I have the security context, the account model, as well as the store context. And I've got to choose which one I'm going to migrate. I can migrate both if I want to, but I don't need to migrate the security context. I only need to migrate the context from my music store. So this is the one I want to use. And actually gives you the code for it. It's right here. So enable migrations. It's not case sensitive. And I'm going to grab this all the way to here and add this in. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it in. I'm not going to press enter. Okay. This is nice. This is the first part. The other thing I want to do is I want to enable automatic migrations. Okay. And if you want to know where the options are, if I want to type in enable migrations command, if you type that in, the first one, which is just some nice little breakdown of all the commands, right? One of the guys put up. You can see that this is the switch I want to use, enable automatic migrations. What it does is it's going to take into account, it's going to pop everything out. Every time I want to make a change, it's going to automatically migrate everything with a migration configuration file that's going to automatically create right now. So I want to add this switch into the command. So I'm going to copy it, go over here, and I'm going to go in front of this one, add a space, and Control V. There it is. So this is the full command. Enable migrations dash enable automatic migrations, which is going to make enable migrations enable automatic migrations is equal to true, is what it's saying. What's my context type name? This one, my music store context, and press enter. Okay. It's going to inspect my database. Look at my database, compare it to the tables that I have locally, and notice what the difference are. Then it's going to create a configuration file inside a migrations folder. All right, let me show you this. So if I click on this, you can see that automatic migrations is enabled as true. That's good, right? And if I look at my Solution Explorer, you can see that I've got my views, and I've got a migrations folder right here with this configuration.cs file. Notice also a couple of other things. I've got this context key that we're going to use, and down in here we have another seed area. You can use this seed area to seed, or just like we did our sample data, a database. So if you're going to do code first migrations for the first time, you want to seed up your database. This is another way to seed your database without using the sample data pattern that we showed before. Okay, so if you want to put stuff in here, if you notice it gives you the pattern of what to do, you can add in whatever you want in here in order for you to create your seed. Okay, for now we're going to leave this as the way it is. I've got my code first migrations file, which is going to help me migrate. So what do I do? Well, when I run my migrations, there's two parts, and forgive me if this is a weird solution, okay? But this is what has to happen. What has to happen is my database has to drop. Has to happen, absolutely, right? And my database has to drop, and as soon as my database drops, it has to be recreated with the new database, the database folders. For example, it has to have our database tables. It has to have an order, cart, order details, and all the other stuff. We need those in order for us to make the shopping cart. So here's what we're going to try. Let's try doing the migration by running the project, right? It should run the migration because it's going to see there's a code first migration. The sample data, if you look at the sample data that's inside of our models folder, sample data.cs, what it's going to do is it says, hey, drop create database if model changes. The model's changed. So it's going to do this, right? And because we have an automatic migration set up with my configuration.cs, it should work. It may fail. Are you going to panic? No, don't panic, because we can always use, instead of, we have to do this, instead of database if model changes, we can always use always. There's two options, this one or always. Always, always removes everything. Every single time you run this thing and you access the data, right? It's okay for this particular sequence, what we're going to run right now, but as soon as we're done, we're going to change it back to if the model changes, right? First, we're going to try if the model changes by itself, and then if it doesn't work, we're going to go back and check always. Let's run this thing with debugging and see what happens. Again, I'm going to run this thing side by side with our little diagnostic tool to see what's going on. So I'm going to kind of pull my Visual Studio aside here so I can see what's happening at the same time that I'm accessing my data, right? If it fails, it's okay. So please don't panic, right? And by the way, I was successful a couple of times today, and I think I've rolled the dice too often. I've rolled 20s a couple times, right? Right? So I don't know if I'm going to roll 20s again, right? I might roll a 1 this time. For those people who play D&D, you'll know what I'm talking about, right? Let's see what happens. All right, so I'm going to pull down my store. And once I click my store, it's going to say, okay, cool. Oh, here we go. It's going to say, drop the database. I didn't tell it to drop. All I did was I said, hey, you know what? We've got a migration going on. Okay, it's going to create the database. Uh-oh, this is where it fails sometimes. Why? I'm hammering my server, and I'm not giving it any chance to do anything. And sometimes, I'll say it this way, sometimes when I'm inserting the database tables over and over again, right, what ends up happening is I shock the server, there's too many transactions, and then it stops the transactions with me, causes a long delay, it expires, and causes me to have an issue. Now, it worked, so it seems. But here's the test. If I click on classical, right, and I want to add something to the cart, I have an add to cart button now, right? Let's add to cart. If it works, I'll get a shopping cart. If it fails, I'll get an error. Shopping cart. So it did the migration for me nicely. I did it the first time. I rolled the 20 again. I don't know how I did it, right? Just saying, right? Let's take a look at this thing and see what I really get. Okay, it's kind of small to see. All right, well, I can add an item to cart. If I go back to the store, this is kind of bad functionality, but if I go back to the store and I want to add another one, let's add on Let There Be Rock, right, AC/DC. If I add that onto the cart, I see now I have 2 items in the cart and my total price has gone up. If I remove an item for the cart, like the first one, then if everything goes well, it'll give me this little thing, tell me what I removed, and we're good to go. This is Ajax and TypeScript and jQuery, all that stuff working for us. So we can do this automatically. So we're good to go, guys. Our cart works. Here's where we have a problem. We don't have the next step. If I click on checkout, right, we're going to get this little funky error page because we haven't created our checkout. So this is step 2. Hey, this is a great place to upload to GitHub because we got functionality. We did our migrations, right? So we're going to stop this funny thing, right? and we're going to stop this debugging. I'm going to go to Team Explorer, and I'm going to hit Home. I'm going to go Changes, and I'm going to add all this stuff to the all these changes. Notice I've changed my app.ts, created my jQuery for my Ajax shopping cart functionality. I'm going to add that in. I'm changing my bundle configuration, all that stuff. So what I'm going to say added jQuery Ajax functionality to remove items. That's all I do from shopping cart. And configured code first migrations. I did all that first. It's a little bit of a too long of a commit, but it's okay. Commit. I'm gonna go home, and I'm gonna go sync, and I'll push. Yay, I pushed those out. So now we're up to date. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next step. The next step is we've got to this point, right? And we've done all this. We need to do the checkout piece. And the checkout piece is the next page. Let's go to the next page. This is registration and checkout. We're not going to do registration at this point. Registration, we already know how to do registration. Our site registers everything for us. It's built into our scaffold, right? Or our template, if you will. What it's asking us here to do is to modify our my account controller, which is yet another data migration I'm not going to do, right? So that keeps track of our user. We're not going to do that. So it's not going to persist. Like I asked you to do, you don't have to make a shopping cart that persists between logins. You don't have to do that. Okay, so here's our checkout controller. I need to make this, and this can be an empty controller inside the controllers folder. So I'm going to do this next. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to, let's close this up, our sample data. I'm going to go to the controllers. One day when my virtual machine updates. And I'm going to add, again, I'm going to go to Add Controller. And we're going to call this, it's an empty controller, that we're going to add the name Checkout in front of. Checkout. So it's our checkout controller. Okay, here's our checkout controller. It's empty right now. And if you notice, what I want to do is I want to make this one have the authorize attribute. Authorize attribute is going to make it so that you have to be logged in order for you to check out. Okay, you can't check out unless you're logged in. Well, let's take a look and see how that works. All right, so that's the first piece. The other piece is that the way that John Galloway kind of designed this was kind of cool. He said, look, you know what? We don't want to make any payment methods. We're going to simulate payment, but we're going to create almost like a coupon code, right? If you select free as your coupon code, we got running a promotion, select free and you get everything for free, right? This kind of prepares you for a couple of options. One, if you want to, you can actually physically go to the next step and go to a payment gateway of some sort, or you can add, adding your payment information in there. This payment information we're going to use is just this coupon code, which is free. We're also going to create two methods. One of them is add address and payment, right? Both the get and the post, the view and the processing, and then the complete method, which is going to allow us to complete the checkout process. So those are the three things we're going to add in here. The complete code for the controller is here. So we're going to grab this piece. Also, we need to make a reference to our music store entities, right? So this is what we need to do first. So I'm going to kind of do that first over here. So get rid of all this. So I'm going to copy and stuff in there. And then up on top here, I'm going to make a change this to authorize, because we're going to authorize the entire controller. So it means you have to be logged in. And then we're going to make a reference in our class to our music store entities, which means we need access to our models folder. So using comp, and then models. There we go. And inside here, we're going to say music store context. Again, it's going to be the same store DB, which is equal to a new music store context. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now I can copy that code snippet in here from over here. Now notice that I also have this constant promo code, and I'm comparing my promo code that's entered with the promo code that I'm looking for, which is free, right? If both of those match the value of the promo code that I'm getting, and if they equal, if they're false, I'm going to just go back to my order, right? If it's true, I'm going to finish my checkout. I'm going to complete my checkout. Okay? So let's add this functionality. I'm going to grab from here, from my const, all the way down to the third last curly brace. Copy, go over here, and paste. All right, so we've got our constant, which is right here. Let's go through this a little bit more, right? So address and payment, what it does, it displays my address and payment page. We're going to generate that page, right? Address and payment, the post cycle, it posts our page. It actually processes our page. Let's take a look. What it does, again, is it tries to compare the promo code to see if it's correct. If not, then take us to our order, our view order again. If it's true, then what we want to do is we want to complete our order. So we're going to redirect to the complete page, right? And here's the complete action result, which is going to show the complete page. It's going to say, thank you very much for making your order. Your order number is, here it is, right? That's what it's going to do. So that's what the checkout controller does. Let's add some views to the checkout controller. This is the next page, next place. We're going to go to address and payment, and notice that we want to, it always tries to add in a strongly typed view. This is the old ASP.NET MVC3. Obviously, we don't need to do that here. We do need to match it up to order, right? We don't want to use the scaffold edit. We don't want that. And I'm going to show you another scaffolding methodology, and we're going to have to do yet another migration in order for this to happen. All right, so I'm going to show you that as well, and how smooth it can be once you set up, once you enable migrations. Okay, so address and payment, I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a new view. It's going to be an MVC view, add, and if you notice, the options that are going to be are empty without model, or if I want to choose empty, I want to choose empty with model. My model class, again, if you notice, if you look over here, is the order. So I'm going to scroll down to the order class. And my data context obviously going to be the music store context. We're going to click reference script libraries, definitely, and click add. This is going to add in my address and payment. Now we could have chosen the edit template, but that's going to add in all our beautiful template. And I want to show you how to do another way of, how to scaffold this in another way, all right? Okay, so let's kind of go over here, and you can see that all this stuff has to be changed. This can stay, this part, but the rest has to be changed with this funky code right here. So we don't care about these scripts. Remember, we're not going to do these scripts in line like this, but we are going to grab everything from the @using statement all the way down to the bottom, copy that, go back over here, and replace this stuff. All right, there are some errors, right? Well, there could be. Here's one thing that that you're going to see. Editor for model. Okay, this is the scaffold that I'm talking about. Editor for model. What it does is it takes a look at the model and creates an edit template for you. So it doesn't have to go with every single field. It doesn't list every field here. Okay, how is this good? It's good if you want to do some testing. How is this bad? It's really bad because we have no access. There's no way we have control over any of the fields that are created. Okay? Except at the model level. The model level. So we can create all of our validation and the way the fields kind of respond at the model level, but we have no control over the style of the fields, which really sucks, right? However, I want to show you this other scaffolding methodology because it's something that he's been showing throughout the whole time, and I haven't done it once. Let's do this one time. Okay, and there's requirements to make this work. One of the requirements is I need to change my order model, right? That's inside my models folder. So I got to go to my order model. Here it is. And remember I changed this thing to postal code. Keep track of that because we're going to have to go back and put it back. Why? Because we have to use validation rules for our order model in order for it to work. So I'm going to grab all this. I'm going to change my order model around again after this. Copy it. Notice it also uses regular expressions for validation and everything in here. Nice idea. But the problem is that we need to do another migration in order for this to work. So I'm going to copy this and paste it in here. There we go, we're pasting it. And we also have to, I'm also going to grab this thing that says bind exclude order ID. I'm going to copy that and put it on top of the order itself, the model itself. There we go. Okay, none of it works. It says like, man, Tom, it's complaining, what's going on? Well, because you have to add in the classes, so I'm going to kind of control dot here and add in the using system web MVC. That's one thing. The scaffold column, it means, hey, we're saying don't scaffold the order ID, right? So I'm going to do control dot for that one. And the same thing goes with our display name, right? We're going to control dot for that one and add another using statements. We've done all that for all those things. Perfect. Except that, guess what we've done? We've modified our order ID, our order model, which means we have another migration, right? Just the way it is. Let's check this out. Now, before we do the migration, and I did this a little differently in the first class, I want to add in my, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get this class or this scaffold that's built out automatically for us, right? Nice, but no control. And it's going to be like the fields are going to be like this thin too, which kind of doesn't match up with the rest of our project, but that's okay. I want to create this one too. I want to create the complete view. Let's do that piece too. This is a little different, and the reason why I want to do the complete view, so we have everything from our checkout controller done. All right, so checkout controller, I want to scroll down here and go to my complete view, and I want to add a new view. And now this time I'm going to make you do a empty view, right? So when I go back to view, where it says empty without model, I want you to do that. And one thing I want you to do is here where it says create as partial view. Notice that this is not a partial view. This is a strongly typed view. We don't have that option. Just press add. Okay, you get this. What we want to do is replace it with this. Okay, and we're going to talk about what this does. Okay. That's weird. So I'm getting an integer as a model. Why? Right? And this is obviously not going to work. Let's just fix this up here. Why is my integer the model? Well, how does it work actually? If I go to my checkout controller, you can see that in my checkout controller, my complete, I get an ID in the URL for what's being completed, the ID of the order that's being completed, right? And then if you notice, I pass it into the view. So I pass that ID in here. So that way, when I display it, I can display the ID of the order right here that's being completed. And that's all they're doing here. Do you have to do it this way? No, you don't. Can you pass it into the view bag? Yes, you can. There's many things you can do it in different ways. He's just showing you how to do this. He's calling this a strongly typed view. And the reason why you can do this is you can pass in the model as an integer. So you don't have to actually name the model type. Just pass it. It's listening for an integer type. That's all it's listening for. And then, so as long as this is an integer, it's going to show a number here. And the number is going to be passed in from the checkout, which is right here. Okay? Our views are done. Let's migrate. Do I have to enable migrations anymore? Hell no. It's already done for us. All we need to do is run this code. If we did it right, and if I roll another 20, I think we'll be okay. There's not going to be any kind of hiccups. Let's check this out. Because the model changed, however, I'm just saying that what's going to happen is it's going to regenerate that list again. One more time, because the model's changed. Just letting you know. Here's how it works. If I click store, it's going to take its time now. And if you look at what's happening on the back end, right, you can see that right now it's dropped the table, dropped the database, and this is where sometimes you get a bit of an error because of the delay. I'm creating my database, and between creating and deleting, right, the table's being hammered, right, that's what's happening here, and it doesn't like that sometimes. But in this particular case, we're really lucky in this afternoon. We haven't failed one time. We failed a lot in the morning. And it's kind of creating all the data for my database here. All right. Notice also that I'm logged in. I haven't really logged out, right? And so how am I doing this? Because there's a cookie that's been kept for the entire session, right? Let's log off to make sure that I'm not in there. Okay, so I'm in my store. Here's my store. And you know what? I might as well register myself. So let's register myself for the first time again. Because why? All my security tables got deleted too. Whenever I do a drop database, it doesn't just drop the tables, it drops everything, including my security model, right? Let's add this all back in. So add example and my long password. There we go. And click register. And then it says update no, we're good. I'm going to go to my store. So I'm logged in now, so I don't have to do this later on. Actually, let's just log off to show you how it works. So I'm logging off, but I'm registered, right? And I'm going to go to my store and start ordering. I'm going to go to my rock. I'm going to add in that that let there be rock. And that's good. I'm adding to cart. It's generating the cart, right? There it is. And then I'm going to go back to my store, and I'm going to hit alternative again. And let's add on cake B-sides and rarities. There we go. And I'm going to go to my store again, and I'm going to go to pop, and we'll say Frank, Amy Winehouse. Add that in too, right? So I got a bit of a shopping cart going on. Cool, cool. I want to check out. I'm not logged in. It should ask me to log in. Let's see if it does. So I'm logged in. Okay, there's my admin.example.com. Let's log in with my password. And click login. And it takes me back to my address and payment information. Now take a look what's been calculated here. Take a look. So this what's what generated automatically from that scaffold, all right? So it calculates my first name, my last name, address, all this stuff. Oh man, what the hell? I forgot to do this. Does it matter? No, because my order model, right, has been totally changed, so it doesn't matter, right? I should have done that. Someone should have reminded me. I have to blame somebody. Come on. So I put in my information, doesn't matter. It'll flow anyway. And then my promo code is free, and I click submit order, and it says checkout complete. Thanks for your order. Your order number is 1. Why is it 1? Because all the database got dropped. So my previous shopping carts, my previous orders got dropped anyway, and it's there. If I want to do some more shopping, I can do that again. I can go back to store. Let's do one more round. So I want to go into classical. Let's say I don't know, I want to grab something. This is going to freak out on this one. Take a look at this one. If I add this one, Gorecki Symphony number 3, right? I add this to cart, but I don't want this, and I remove from cart. Take a look what I get when I remove from cart. I get a really funky error here, right? Because it's trying to interpret what that weird O is. It doesn't know what it is, so it's going to give me some weird code. And this is a prevention technique to prevent, you know, the names of the items causing some kind of security error. That's what it is. But it's a problem. I've got to fix this problem. And I don't have to do it now, but this is definitely something that I would kind of put in as a bug. All right, let's go back to my store and add some other things. I'm going to add some other sections just to make sure we test everything out. So I'll add in this Latin one with, again, another name. And I want to go store, and I want to add in some more Latin music. I don't know why, but let's just add them in. There we go. And I got a couple things I want to check out. So I want to go into checkout. And again, it's asking me for my name information. This is where we'll be a little bit different. Once you put this information in the first time, like one time, it would keep track of your profile. It does not keep track of my profile, right? So if you're going to add another shopping cart that was more intelligent, my first name, my last name, all this stuff, I would have to put it in again. Luckily, HTML5 helps me with my autofill features, and I can put in my promo code is free. And what I should get now when I submit my order is thank you for order number 2, right? Okay, cool. So everything worked out. One thing we haven't done, I'm going to kind of stop this, is we haven't checked out our database. What has it done on the back end? So if I refresh, and I go back to here, and I look at my databases just for a second. I didn't have a chance to do this morning because I was in a rush. But I want to look at my tables and see what's in my tables. I want to see my orders in my tables and how they're laid out, right? Because I think it's important to understand how the data is being saved in the tables. But pretty much right now we have a working cart. I need to make some cosmetic changes. One of the cosmetic changes I want to add in is that shopping cart number on the top right corner of our screen. Is kind of go to the shopping cart. I think we need that, right? Okay, let's take a look first at our orders. So if I look at our orders table and I right click and I go view data, you can see that the orders table, when it comes up, I'm not changing anything, I'm just viewing, and Microsoft Visual Studio is taking its sweet time because of my virtual machine. It's actually not Visual Studio's problem, it's my problem. But let's take a look. One day when it responds. It should see my orders. Okay, I'll let this do what it says. Last time, by the way, I have to say that it crapped out completely and gave me a blue screen of death. So hopefully it won't do that this time. I've done a lot of stuff with Visual Studio so far. And every time I try and access the databases this way, a lot of times it craps out. It says, you know what, Visual Studio is busy. You know, one of those kind of things. And it's not because of Visual Studio, but because of my memory allocation and everything else. Okay, let's go back over here, and we're going to go to the next piece. So I want to go flow to the next side, right? What I want to add in is this shopping cart stuff up here. How do I do that? Did it crap out? Hey! So these are my two orders, right? This is who ordered it, is me, right? With my address information and everything else. Here's my order date. Kept track of my order date when I made my order. And it also has a reference to, let's just skip over here, to my phone number, my name, my total, all that kind of stuff. But where, oh where, my friends, is my order details? Well, right here, order ID is here. That's weird, right? Where's my order details? How do I get that information? Well, you have to know what I'm looking at. If I look at my order.cs file, you can see that I have my order ID, my order date, and everything else, but how does it relate my order? Like, where is my order? Is my order gone, right? Well, here's a list of order details, but where's that? Where's my foreign key for order details? And if I want to review my order, there is no order details up here. Just curious to see where this is, right? However, there is a relation between my name, my order ID, and the order details. If I was going to look at the order details view, or the table, I mean, here's the order details table, and if I look at the view data, hopefully it won't crap out. Don't crap out. It should show me a list of order details that were there, right? Remember, there's one piece I told you I'm missing. One piece I'm missing is the ability for me to keep track of my orders. And remember, we're not really keeping track of stuff. I'm just keeping track of who ordered it, who completed my order. For me to go to the next level and actually have a list of orders, you can see here that here are my order details. Here's my order detail ID, right? And album ID is 48, and this is all the order detail. Order details 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not stuff was not all in one order. That was on two different orders, right? So remember, order details is like different records, like the different parts of my shopping cart, right? So that's interesting. So it's not keeping track of that. And what about, I'm just putting it out there, what about my shopping cart itself? I got carts, right? So I definitely want that, you know, to, that's the cart. But where is my shopping cart, like the actual shopping cart itself? Well, there isn't any. And this is the stuff that if I was going to redesign things a little differently with you guys, I would create something of a shopping cart that would remember what you ordered, all that kind of stuff by user and stuff. Guys, lots of stuff in here. You know, that imagine how we've talked so much. They're so complicated the way we've done things already, and there's some pieces that are still missing. Why? Because we're mocking a shopping cart experience. I'm not asking you to remember. Remember, I told you it's not supposed to persist, but this is the reason. Because, you know, we have to create other structures for it to keep track of your orders in more details. And one of the things that I would have loved to see is it keep track of my order, my complete order online, right? It doesn't do that. Okay, so let's add the other pieces. So I want to add in this shopping cart summary partial view that's going to appear here in our nav bar. How do I do that? We already have part of it done. It's actually inside of our shopping cart summary. So if I go to shopping cart, there's our shopping cart. And if you look all the way at the bottom, right? No, it's not here. Sorry. I meant it should be under our, it's a child action inside of our shopping cart, but it's inside of our shopping cart controller. Let's take a look. Did I not look at that? No. I looked at the model. I meant to look at the controllers under shopping cart controller. There it is. So if I scroll all the way down, here's our cart summary. Now, cart summary is a partial view, and the way it works is it's going to be a partial view. The way it's going to work is we're going to generate this view. So I'm going to right-click and add a new view. Right? Here we go. And this new view, when it gets added, is going to be a partial view, cart summary. Right? Now it says without a model, which is perfect for us. So I'm going to just click OK or add. Empty. Good. Now what I want to add in here, we're going to talk about what this does. I'm going to copy this. Right? So copy it. Remember, it's a partial view. Right? And the partial view can be rendered anywhere. right? Now we have to kind of put this together so it makes sense because Microsoft doesn't understand what this is. Let's try and put this together so you see it in its entirety. And that should be good. Oh, how about the top part? That'd be nice too. Okay, so how does this work? We can actually split this one down here to go here, and we'll put that one over there so it's in one line. Okay, this is the partial view. What does it do? It's very simple actually. It says on the line on the actual action link itself, or the actual where we're going to place this in, you're going to see the word cart appear with an open bracket, the number, the cart count, how many items are currently in the cart, and we're going to create this string. This is the first part of the string. This is all part of the text for the anchor tag. So the anchor tag text is all this, right? It's going to look at the index of the shopping cart controller, right? And it's going to return the cart status. So the cart status ID. Okay. What does this mean to us? How come this is a partial view? How does it work? Well, we're going to embed this thing inside of our layout CSHTML. All right, so let's go back to our layout CSHTML, our shared view, which is here. And we're going to make a reference to it, but we're going to make a different kind of view altogether. So I'm going to copy this. And here after our store, we're going to, instead of an HTML action link, we're going to create a render action, and we're going to put it inside. We're going to put it inside of a, if you look down here, I'll show you where it is. So you can see the actual render action itself. It's right down here. This is how it looks. Okay, so I'm going to take this whole list item right here, further down the page, copy it, go back over here, and paste it in here. Okay, that's cool. So it's a render action, and it's going to say, I'm going to render the cart summary page. Oh, I just don't have space for it. It's going to list the cart summary page right in here. So right inside the link itself, it's going to say this. Okay. Could I add other things in here? Like if I wanted to add a shopping cart icon instead of the word cart, could I do that? And the answer is absolutely. And I think this is one step we can do very simply after we get this working. So first let's get it working, and then let's go back and we can modify this view to make it work. Okay, so run it. Now this is going to fail because I'm looking at the cart summary view and there's nothing to see. Shopping cart summary. It's going to give me an error, right? And that's okay. But if we go to cart, you can see the cart says 0. So if I go to home, and if I click on cart itself, it's going to show me there's nothing in the cart. That's what you should see right now. So that's pretty good functionality. But I want to change this so I can add in a little bit of like an icon, to make it look good. And is there a shopping cart icon from Font Awesome? Yes, there is. How do we add it in? Let's see. Well, we're going to add it right in here instead of the word cart. That doesn't make any sense. I want to add a picture of the shopping cart, right? Well, we need to add in a little bit of code, right? Where our icon is going to appear, right in here, with the class, which is equal to FA. Notice these single quotes, right? And then FA, whatever the shopping cart is called, let's take a look, probably called shopping cart or cart, right? But let's take a look at Font Awesome. Right, so Font Awesome. And if I look at Font Awesome icons, and if I search for cart, you can see that there's cart with an arrow, cart with a plus, add to cart, shopping dash cart. And this is kind of cool. I can add some of these things down where when it comes to, some of the stuff that we want to use for, inside of our site to make it look nicer. Right, so here's my shopping cart. Shopping dash cart is what it is. So FA, shopping dash cart is what I want to add in there with a closing quote, right? And I don't want any separation between this and the data. All right, now let's check it out and see if it works. If we did everything correctly, my font awesome should work. But did we even enable font awesome inside of our CSS bundle? And the answer is probably not, which means we're going to get some really funky stuff going on here. Like this, right? So that's actually a literal, which is not what we wanted, right, in here. We're sorry, blah, 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 I hit experience. So this is what I want to do, but we don't have our font awesome in here. First of all, let's enable font awesome. So I'm going to stop this. We're going to have to figure out a funky way of doing this, right? So let's go back to my Solution Explorer. Let's look at our bundle config up here, where we have our bundle config. And let's see if we added it in there. Font awesome should really be part of the bootstrap or the thing item. So it is here. I've already added in font awesome. So font awesome is there. So that's not the problem. So it's not our bundler. That's the issue. My font awesome is already bundled in, right? My issue is that this returns a literal, right, as opposed to the action. This is an action link, right? Could I, just saying, instead of putting an action link, could I, kind of put in other things in here instead? For example, is there a URL action that I can use instead in here, right? Remember, this action link is going to embed itself inside that position, right? My render action. So if I go back to here into my layout CSHTML, all it's doing is doing a render action of the cart summary shopping cart. It's going to pop it in there as a partial view, right? Just saying, in my cart summary, right? Could I do something else? Like, for example, if I do at html.url action, like we did before, or something else, is there something else we can do to make it go? What other options do we have? So we have action link, right? We have some other options as well. Anyone have a suggestion of what we can do to make this better? We can also try it out the other side too. So an action link, right? What other things have we done before for our HTML, right? Anybody? Come on, guys. I want your help. Nobody? All right, how about, this is a partial view, right? So I can do whatever I want. So let's take this out of here. And I'm going to copy it, cut it out of here, right? Leave this in there. And before my action link, put in this and see if it works. So I want to do this anchor tag, or this I tag, which is actually an I tag, and it's going to be combined with my action link that's going to be kind of embedded in there. Is that possible? I don't know. But we're going to try it out. This is the other thing I thought about. All right, let's see if that works. I'm going to go back to my layout CSHTML and run it from there with debugging. Hopefully it's going to give us what we want. It may not. Kind of did. It's almost there. We're almost there, guys. Come on. Like, you got to figure that we're pretty close. My little shopping cart's there. It's really small, and it's kind of out of bounds, and everything else. Why? Because of the way we've used CSS in this case to do this kind of stuff. So we're triggering on the actual the nav bar up here, right? So we're adding this in. If I was to look at this, the final result, that's going to help us out. Let's see what let's do a bit of a view page source to see what we get. We're actually getting. So we've got our header, our nav bar, and down in here we're going to see the final results. We're going to say FA shopping cart. Oh, that's not what we want. That's why we're having a problem. This stuff, this here, has got to be embedded inside the anchor tag, remember? Inside where it says this. So I was right the first time. This is where it's going to go in there, right? So I kind of want to do this. I want to render this piece inside there, right? So that's what I really want. Okay? It's got to go where the, this thing is. But the problem is it's rendering it as a string, and I want to render it as HTML, right? And that's going to be an issue because I'm trying to do something all together at once. So it's kind of working, but not what I want, right? What other things could I do to trick everything? Well, I know it's kind of cheesy, but I could create another item, link item, list item altogether, right? And just put the shopping cart in there at all with an empty anchor tag, right? That doesn't go anywhere. Or no anchor tag at all. Let's try this out. So kind of put that out as an alternate. I know I'm kind of creating a cheesy workaround, but there's other ways we can find out to do it. And for those people who are trying to figure this out as well, if you're remote, maybe you can put it up on Slack later on. So I don't have to do it here, right? I can still leave this part the way it is, but then when my layout CS/HTML, before I can put it in here as part of my, it's got to go before my cart, right? So inside my list item, as an example, which is what I did, it's kind of appearing here. So I could put it as an I tag here, right? I could try this, but this is kind of what I did before, right? So I kind of go like one of those. Let's see what this does. It's probably going to produce the same results. So I'm going to go Control F5 to run without debugging, so I don't have to go too crazy. We're probably going to get the same result as last time. Let's take a look. Yeah. So the other option is to put this in a list item of its own. So kind of crop this out. Actually, we'll just do one of these. And before the cart, put another list item, right, with an anchor tag inside of it. It doesn't go anywhere. Inside the anchor tag itself, I can put this I tag, right? I'm going to see what this does. Now, remember, it's going to look like a link, which is kind of weird, right? And let's see how that looks. And then after that, we have some other options. Not bad, but it's kind of separate. I want this, but I want this with this, right? So it doesn't look like a separate item. But this is the functionality I want. So obviously it's too small anyway. The shopping cart should be a lot bigger, right? All right, let's fix this problem. So trounce this. And I want to use FA large. FA large. There it is. That's the one thing. Let's see if they give us another solution in this part. Because right now, all we're getting is this shopping cart. How'd you do that? Okay. Yes. Post that up on Slack, please. In the developer section. So we have a, see, I told you, someone had a solution, right? I love it. It's just a matter of time. If you work with it enough times, you get a nice little thing to add it in. I like it. We're going to do this piece next too. We're going to change our view a little bit. Okay, let's take a look. So I'm going to go to Slack, and we're going to go to developer, and hopefully, there it is. There it is. This is the beautiful thing, right? Right here. Thank you, Dan. I'm just going to take this piece right here. This is both, you need both lines, right? Yeah. Copy this. And go over here. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And just replace that in there. And should work okay. Okay, so see what you've done. So it's still an action link, but embedded inside this class, that's it. The class of FA shopping cart, and maybe FA large. Let's do that, FA-large, right? To make it a little bit bigger, right? And then go back to my layout, CS/HTML, and take this out. Beautiful. And then we'll run it again, Control F5, and see what we get. Wonderful. I maybe need a little bit of a space. So how do we get that space going on? We can add in a bit of a space here. So inside here, we have the shopping cart. We can go right before this thing right here. We can kind of add it in. And by the way, if you want to add in other things instead of brackets, if you want to add square brackets or something else, you could totally do that. Badges, you know, whatever you want, that can go in here as well. how would I add a badge in here for the link? Like for example, if you look at Font Awesome, right? Font Awesome has some interesting other objects here you can add in. Like for example, for the numbers, you can add in some kind of like the number 1, right? 1, or has some other interesting icons you can use. I want to show you what I'm talking about in a second. Like you have these icons, but there's also the number icons, and I wonder if it's just number -1 or something. File type icons, spinner icons, form icons, payment icons. This is neat. You can use these for your what you're doing. Chart icons, currency icons. Nice, nice. And directional icons, video player icons, brand icons, all kinds of icons, but no number icons, for God's sake. How come? Well, maybe you don't need them. Number. Phone number. I want like a number 1. I know that on the Get Bootstrap website for the glyph icons, and I know they're getting rid of those, but if I go to components and available glyphs under here, if you look through this, you can see that there are some other icons you can use. Nothing that I want to use here, but this is the kind of stuff I want to use. Some kind of icon with a number around it, right? There are ways of doing that. Actually, we can use a character set as well. The character set's built in with those numbers, right? So if I go to my ASCII character set for a second, ASCII character set. I'm wondering if they have a table for the numbers. And yes, I'm getting closer. Something like this where it actually includes, there we go, it includes the numbers like in a circle. You know, something like that. Makes it a little bit nicer, like a badge, right? What is that called? I wonder if Font Awesome has it. I just need to call it badge. Certificate. That's the kind of idea that I'm looking at, like some kind of badge icon. So let's see, badge icon, badge icon. No. You know what I'm talking about though, right guys? Like almost like some kind of number that comes up.
It's probably fine if you go on the Get Bootstrap thing and look for an example of using it.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll go and do Get Bootstrap. I don't want to waste anyone's time with doing this kind of stuff though. I would rather know where it's at. So under components you're talking about. Yeah. And badges. There we go. This is what I wanted. So what I want to do is span class badge 42. This is what I want. So it turns it into a badge. Yay, thank you. I knew it was somewhere. I just can't remember where. All right, so we need to add a span in there, right? So this is where we can add the class badge. I wonder if you can do that right away, right? So we add a class badge to the, not to the anchor tag. Would it be to the anchor tag? I guess it would be, right? Let's check this out. So I want to go back there to class badge. So we've got ID car status class FA large, but I'm wondering this adds an item, right? And I wonder if I add badge, would it badge the item itself, which is kind of weird. That's the shopping cart part. How do I do that?
Are the brackets just strings, or is it
strings?
Just strings?
Yeah. You see, that's the problem. Otherwise, I would have put this stuff inside there. But I'm just curious, if I added in if a badge just adds in the badge to the shopping cart, you're going to go back and find it, aren't you? All right, let's see. And if I go do that and I run it again, Control F5, this is going to make a funny thing. It's not what I want, but you understand what I'm talking about. I want to kind of make a badge. No, not there. I want to make a yes, that's what I want, a badge that goes over everything. No, that's not what I want. What I want to do is I want to add this badge idea over here to show the number, and all it does is add this thing on top of everything. So I want to put the badge on the 0, right? And I want to target that. I could use jQuery to do it, or JavaScript. I could do that, because all I want to do is I can target when the item appears, right? And let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go back in here and undo it. So I'm going to start. So what I want to target is, and again, I need to add in some kind of a span tag or something in there. And again, what it would be is, if you look at the example from the Bootstrap, if I want to make a button with a badge, you need to make a span inside the button next to the text itself, which is something like that we can't do right now, right? But what I can do is I can target my my item, whatever it is, and I can add a span next to it, right? Or around it. I can surround this thing with the span. So I can read the value, whatever the value is from the inner HTML, and I can surround it, instead of putting the round brackets, take the round brackets away, because I wouldn't need those. I'm going to put a badge, right? And then put something else in there. So how do I hook into that? So I'm going to go back to this. And let's run this thing so I can see what I can hook into. Because I can add an ID in here as well. So if I look at this, so if I go view page source, it's okay. I mean, it's not that, I'm not really hurt by it, by the way, if I leave it this way. But I'm just curious if I was going to add in a badge or some kind of other funky thing instead of round brackets, right, how it would look. And I'm right here. So class FA cart. It's not really what I want to do either, eh? This is why it's giving us the funky details, because this class is part of the anchor tag itself, right? Which shouldn't be. It should be an actual I tag that's in here. That's another reason why it's happening. But what I want to do in here is, inside of the shopping cart, I want to target the inner HTML of my anchor tag. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to have some kind of ID or something in there. And I can add that in, if I'm not wrong, by adding in another option in here. So I can say something like title is shopping cart, and I can also make it so that maybe at ID, I'm guessing, if I can do this, is equal to, no, it's not doing it, is equal to, I want to add an ID. Well, maybe I will do it. The ID that is going to be is something like shopping cart. So shopping cart. My ID is shopping cart. Okay, let's see what it renders when I do that. So I'm going to run it, Control F5. And this is all for beautification, eh? It's all for making it look nice. All right, let's see what I get in my view page source. I now get a class of this and an ID of shopping cart. Now that I have an ID or even a class, the only problem with this is it's a long class to match, but this I can match with jQuery. I can hook into it and say whatever item has an inner HTML, change the inner HTML and add and inject this piece. So I can take away the round brackets and inject inner HTML of my span with my my stuff in there, with my class as an example of badge, and then the 0 would be in the middle of that. All right, let's see if we can do this. So I need to add some kind of JavaScript here, but I wouldn't add it here. I'd add it to my layout, the CS_HTML page, right, for the cart. And I want to do it so it's jQuery, right? Well, I've already got some jQuery in there, right, in my shopping cart, and this is part of my bundle, right? So I'm going to go back to my Solution Explorer, right, and in my app.js, I could add some stuff in there, right? It's just another query. So let me go back to my app.js. App.ts. I've got my iffy. It's going to run my first one. My first query is this one, from here down to here, right? But I could run a second one. I could say something like this, $, right? And then where the selector is equal to shopping cart. There's my shopping cart, right? So in there, what I want to do is, it's not on a click, right? I want to take this shopping cart and I want to change the HTML, right, of the shopping cart. And remember, there's 3 overloads for this one. One of them is my HTML string, if I want to set it to whatever it is, right? Or the other one is some kind of callback function. So if I put an HTML string in there, I want that string to be in there. But first what I want to do is I want to read the value. I want to read the value of that item. So because I'm going to lose it, right? So I'm going to hook into there and say, give me the value of that inner HTML. So return the HTML value, whatever it is, right? So this is return the value of my HTML, and I can assign this to a variable. So I say let the value, this is my cart number, so let my cart value, which is a string. Actually, let's see what it does. If I go like this, if my cart value is equal to any, yeah, because maybe I got to use the right stuff, Tom. There we go. Select cart value is a string. I thought so, right? Is equal to this HTML value, whatever the value is of the inner HTML. And just to show you what that is, from a testing perspective, let's output this to console. So console log cart value. Cart value. Okay, so let's check this out. So I'm not changing much of anything right now. I'm using the same thing. I'm not changing the cart summary page or whatever. Let's just kick this off and see what happens. So I'm going to Control F5. All right, and let's use the, I want to use the inspector to see what I got. So my cart value is 0, right? Now I'm going to strip it, but I did get it. You see? I need to get the cart value first, so I've got that. Now what happens if I change it? So I'm going to keep this open here for a second. So store, does it always pull, right? Because I need to know this too. Classical, and I'm going to add in, and notice it does, add to cart, changes, right? So that change, that's nice. So it's a dynamic value that changes. I can get rid of the open bracket, close bracket, which is going to save me, right? All right, so let's stop this craziness from happening. Go back to my cart summary in here. And what I want to do is I want to add in, I want to change the view data cart count into a string by basically concatenating it with one string, right? Once I do one, then I'm good with the other. I don't need to do both anymore, right? So now I'm going to get a string count. Let me try and see what I get now. So Control F5. Again, you might say I'm crazy doing this stuff, but it's really for special effects, right? Come on. Let's see if we can make this look nice. All right. Cart 1. I need a space in there. So one thing I do need is a space between this and the actual the object. And if I look at my inspector, I should get the number 1 on my console, right? That's good. Why did it do this? Shopping cart. Oh yeah, because we don't have any shopping cart. That's why it gave me the error. Okay, so we need definitely a space between that and the other. That's pretty good, actually. That's what I want to put in there anyway. All right, so if I go back to this, I've got my cart value, and once I get my cart value, I want to add it back into my HTML. So what I want to say now is do the same thing, right? So number, oops, shopping cart. And we use this, the getter. Now I'm going to use the setter, and I'm going to set the value of my HTML to my span with a class of equals to badge, right? And then inside there, I'm going to put my cart value, right? Plus cart value, right? Plus, I'm going to close off that span, right? So my span tag, right? Which is what it should be like if I did this correctly. And that should be it. Make sense? So I'm saying, hey jQuery, get the value of my shopping cart, and then take my span, inject a span tag with the cart value inside the middle of it. Right? That should give me what I want. Let's see if it does. May or may not, but it's okay. We'll continue refining from here. We have some time left. All right, yay. See? It's a little bit too close, and I think what we can do is we can span it out just a little bit so the shopping cart is, this value is a little bit smaller, or push it over. This is what I really wanted, right? Which is kind of cool. I do have a shopping cart item. That's why it's showing me 1, right? But let us do one more thing to this, because I think in the cart summary, I can add probably another space in here just to give me another bit of space between my cart, my shopping cart icon, and then the cart count, which is what I want. So save, go back to this, and Control F5. So now we've added another little thing, 2 lines of code for jQuery that does whatever I want, right? Instead of trying to rough it up. I know it's cheating, right? But it's still, I think we still need some space, right, between the two. I could add the space inside my span though, right, which is probably what I want to do. Yeah, because it'll just keep on, it won't do anything what I want. So this isn't the proper thing to do. Let's go back to my cart summary. So I take one space away from here, and then go into my, because it'll just replace it. We'll go into my span, and where it says the badge, we'll just add a space in here like this. And that'll be the space that I need. And then Control F5, right, which does what I have to do. And now we'll have a nice shopping cart with a badge. How come I didn't do it? I want to look at the sources from my index.html, and let's take a look at what I'm getting. And it's probably something dumb. ID. And we are getting it actually. Shopping cart here. But it's not here that I want this. It's between my shopping cart and, oh yeah, because we made this the class of the item, right? It's before my span somehow. How could I fix this problem? This might be a bit of a problem. It's a little bit awkward, but you know, still a little nicer than before. I wouldn't mind being able to get that span. So it's not here, it's actually in here. But I don't think that's going to really help us too much if I do this. It'd be the same thing. But hey, let's see what it is. It's either one side or the other. Is it really critical? No. Nice if we can fix this. And by the way, if I really want to, I can, that's not bad. I can, that actually worked out, right? So what I want to is I can target this thing so that way if I can add in my class the right way, just like I did instead of how Dan did it, right? Shopping cart with a number. There we go. Let's take a look and see how that works if I actually add some more stuff to the store. So if I go to rock, and I want to add in some, add to cart. Now I have 2, which looks a little nicer, right? And if I remove one, it all automatically updates to, oh man. That's bad too. Anyway, that's bad either way. So what's happened is, because of the jQuery that's happening, it's not updating the count, right? Because I'm not getting the count going on, right? It's showing 2 when I only have 1. And the reason for that is because, and I'm wondering if the jQuery is being updated. So go back to this, back to the drawing board a little bit. That's why I'm testing it out to see if it all works good, right? I'm reading the cart right here, my HTML, right, from the cart. Because I'm pumping it in first, I'm changing it, right, from my shopping cart itself. Right, so this piece here is going to generate my cart item, my new number. But what's happening is, in the app.ts, when I read it, my cart value doesn't change, right? Let me pump that out for a second to check what I'm doing. So console log cart value. I want to see what that looks like. Oops. Cart. Because I'm using Ajax. So what I should do is actually go to do something else. Instead of doing it this way, I should actually pass in the cart value some other way. Cart status, text cart. Cart count. So data.cartCount is what I want to do. So I want to get the data object here. So instead of creating a let statement down here, cart value, right? what I want to do is I want to get the cart value as data.item count, but I won't be able to get that unless I have a remove, which means whenever I do this, I want to change my thing as well. Okay, I know what to do. Sorry. So what I want to do is I want to declare this piece, cart value, as a string. I'm going to copy this one up here. And then it's more of a functional object. And down here, I want to just assign it cart value. Okay, now you're going to say, well, that doesn't do anything. You're right. But in here, when I remove something from cart, my data cart total, right? This data cart total is going to, my cart total, my number cart total is going to be equal to the text object of my data cart total. So what I want to do is when this changes, right? When this happens and my data changes, I want to say that my cart value, probably this is being duplicated, but I want to add this into the data.cart total. Cart total, right? That's what's going to be added in here, right? Okay. So this cart value is going to be that. And I'm also going to have to set up another value to say that something's been deleted. Something's been deleted. So when something gets deleted, I'm going to set it up so that it keeps track of the deletion. Someone says, well, then don't do this. If something's been deleted, do something else. Right? So how do I do that? So I'll say let, and then deletion, or has deletion, which is a Boolean, right? And I'm going to set that up as a value of false for the beginning. But when we do this, when I actually delete something, then I'm going to set that has deletion is equal to true. And then if that's true, down in here into my cart value, I'm going to say if not has deletion, then do this itself. Otherwise, you're going to get the cart value from over here. There we go. Let's try that out. A little bit of code, and it may work, it may not. If not, we'll do some more troubleshooting. And let's see what we get. All right, we got cart as 1. Good, good. And I want to add something to cart. So I want to go to Disco, and I want to add LaFreak, add to cart 2. And I'm going to remove it, and it did not update. I don't like it. We almost did it, but if I go back, I bet you if I go back to home, right, it changes it back to 1. Yeah, see? That's not right. Why? Because it's using Ajax, and I'm not updating my cart. There's a fix for this. I'm sure. I'm just not going to do it today. One more thing before you go to make it more beautified, and then we'll talk about some stuff that's ready to go. I'm not going to spend more time on that. The store browse page. The store browse page. One of the things we need to do is the store browse page does not send everything. We want it to look like this, our browse page. Notice that it does kind of a view that looks like this. That's our store browse page. When I go to my my home, my store page, instead of it being a list, it's going to have a bunch of these now. So how could I do that? I'm going to change my store browse page. So I'm going to do one of these. And copy this. We're almost done. So when I click store, instead of being a list, like boring list like this, it's going to look a little nicer, right? So I'm going to go to my Solution Explorer, and I'm going to go to my store browse and remove all this for each of these. Copy that in there. Control V. So each of my album URLs, that's my browse. And let's run it. So I'm going to run this thing, Control F5. You can get that from here, from the shortcut that's on the page, the part 10. Beautification. So this is what you get. Rock albums, right? And there's a lot of rock albums, but it's only showing me only rock, right? Well, wow, because if I go to home, if I go to store, and if I go to classical, then I can see all the classical albums, right? Home, right? Store, rock. So you can see everything kind of in a nutshell, and you can see all the album, the numbers in here, and stuff like that. That's kind of what it's doing. So again, it's browsing by genre. So if I look at what it says here, there's the model, the genre model, right? My browse page. And what else do we do? The genre menu. If I want to have the genre menu in here, it's going to add in a partial view, another partial. And what we can do is we can put it into the we can sub this in into the menu itself, right? Into this partial. I wonder if it's in here already. Because it should be showing up, from what I remember, title URL now. And that's why it's showing it like this. Because it's a partial, it's being rendered alongside with my browse. So you can actually go back and forth and click on this as it goes, right? My browse albums. So let's site layout to display our partial views. And what did it do differently here? My URL contents for my store manager. We're not going to do our store manager because that's a totally different thing, which is our admin. And then, oh yeah, content. Okay. Anyways, I'm not going to fool around with this, but this is what's going to help us with our partial views inside of our layouts, a CSHTML page. I'm just wondering where, if I can see it quickly. jQuery, I wouldn't use that. And ASP.NET, here's our nav list, home. And then inside of our body, built with, and there's render body. And there's, oh, here's the genre menu right here. So before the end of our render body and after our options, we're going to take this and put it inside of this piece. And put this inside of our layout.cshtml. So before here, we're going to put this in here. And we can't do this because we don't have that partial view. So we're going to add that in. So we're going to go to grab the partial view, which is our genre menu, right? And we're going to click on, we're going to create a child action. The genre menu controller to the store controller. So we're going to do this piece to the store controller. So we're going to go back to my store controller. I missed this piece. Sorry guys, I know I'm running overtime a little bit. And if you guys want to go, it's okay. I'm just going to add it in. So here at the bottom, I'm just going to add this in. There's our child action only. And I'm going to click and, first of all, let's save and build. That's really super important. Otherwise, we're going to have an issue. I'm going to build out my genre menu as a new view, as a partial. So it's a partial view, the genre menu, and I believe it's empty without model. Yep. Empty without model, create it. Genre menu, there it is. And what I want to do in here in the genre menu, well, actually they did add a view, but it's okay. We can fix this. We can just kind of go and copy and paste this one. So copy this one and paste it in here, and then modify the model. It's IEnumerable. It's not MVC Music Store. It is COMP2007 models.genre, right? And the reason why this isn't working out is because of the way we do our models in general. Because genre should be lowercase genre name, not the way we have it done before. And if I looked at my some of my regular things from my browse, here's my browse in my store, you can see that I did something like this. So copy, and then go to my genre menu and paste. But it's an IEnumerable, so just a second, I'll just do that in here. IEnumerable using the genre. So I'll do one of these. So I'll say IEnumerable, numerable, and we'll use genre as the way, and we'll get rid of this because we've already done it twice. So that's what the model looks like, which saves my issue. Okay. Wonderful. Let's take a look and see how this works and if this looks nice. All right, so I'm going to press Control F5. Thank you for staying so long. I appreciate you. And remember that Lab 5 is supposed to be due Monday, but it's really due when you can get it done before the end of semester, right? Just being honest, because we have a lot of stuff going on, right? So please get her done. This is good. So if I go home, this is good. We got our final. If I go to browse now for my store, oh, almost. It almost did it. It's not quite long enough for what we wanted to do. But then we would take this out of there, because if I click on classical, what it's trying to do is create this scenario for my browse view, right? And notice that this comes over here. So there's some situations that need to be rectified, but not bad. We're getting closer to what we wanted to do. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to continue to record while you guys are gone. Thank you for staying. I want to fix this up before we go. But thank you so much, and see you next week. Remember, next week we have a little quiz. First thing in class, we're going to talk about MVC, the framework. We're going to talk about some models, views, controllers. It's probably going to be between 6 and 10 questions this time around, worth 2% of your final grade. And that'll be all our quizzes and our labs done, right? And then we won't have to do an exam, all right? Thank you so much, and you guys, see you next week. I'll just keep going with this one for the people that are online. Thanks, Austin. Did you fix all your problems?
Yeah.
Good, awesome. Yes? If you don't want to do the exam, no, you don't have to show up at all, right? I'm still going to love you if you don't show up, though. Right? I'm not doing the exam. See you later. If you're not here, then I know you didn't do the exam, right? So I'm not going to be hurt by it. That's okay, too. Right? If you just want to hang out with me and show up, it's okay, too, right? All right. Okay, yeah, so what do I want to do? I want to continue over here to see if I've messed something up. And I don't think they added in any kind of special thing here. They added the partial view. That's what they want to do. And this is nice. But let's take a look here. Cart count, summary. Did I do anything else? My genre menu is my child action only. I did that piece. And my IEnumerable, my site layout. Where did I put it? Maybe it's where I put my site layout. So I've got my nav list, and underneath my nav list and before my main, I have my render body, and I wonder if that's what I need to structure it as main. So if I go back to my layout.cshtml, and here I have container body content, but I wonder if I have to put this inside main to structure this a little different. So I go main, main, and then container body content. And this is in my footer. My footer should be separate, not here like this. This should be in on its own. So I'm going to cut this out. So I'm making some minor modifications, guys. Right? So put this out of there. So that's not going to render. And I can make this a sticky footer, because we can do some more modifications in here to make the sticky footer. Yes, that's what it did. Main render action. That's one thing. Let's keep going. The browse page I updated, and it shows this top selling album. Yeah, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to keep track of top selling albums. It's a nice idea, but this I definitely want to add this little piece here, because my some kind of image like this, fresh off the grill, right? I want to do that. I mean, it's not that much work to do. I see. They just had an idea of promotion, right? Idea of promotion there. So this is my promotion up here. Hey, buy one, get one free. Let's copy this one. Copy. All right, so this is in my index page, right, of my store album. So this is going to go to my store index.cshtml, and right before I go browse, right? Yes. So after I do my view bag, instead of the title being index, we have to say ASP.NET MVC Music Store, ASP.NET MVC Music Store. There we go. And what I want to do here is down in here. Let's see if am I actually recording? Me, I'm recording me. Yay! That's not what I wanted. Been recording me the whole time, I bet. Well, that's why we can update things later. What I want to do, that's annoying. It happens sometimes when you don't click the right buttons, right? What I want to do here, no one told me about it. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. I'm gonna have to erase that one and upload. That's why I do the recording in the first place, right? Because it just in case it messes up like that. Okay, so this is good. And then what I want to do is going to get this promotion div tag. So copy this and put it over here. Is it browse genre? Why does it say that? Is that my index? Yeah, it is. So I don't want to do that. My model count and genre. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Undo, undo, undo. No, this is for my home controller, not my store controller. That's the genre I want there. So this is going to say, yes, so this is going to be this part. It's funny. And we'll put this in my store controller, my home controller. So I'll go one of these, and that's not right. I wanted to copy all of this. Copy and paste. So promotion. It's going to be promotion icons. Let's try that out. So F5. Okay, now, but this is showing up. So this is cool. And I want to space this out. So if I click on classical, it's going to show me these, my rock albums, my Latin, disco, right? This is pretty cool. This is staying at the bottom. I probably want to move this down further with a little bit of CSS, but I could do ring my bell, let's add to cart, and this should be moved at the bottom. Actually, this thing is neat, right? But what I want to do is I would move this down somewhere else. All right, so not perfect by any means, but it's a bit of a mess. And I'd probably change this to look a little different, but at least some parts of it are cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I do apologize for those people trying to watch live and watching my face the whole night. That kind of sucks. But I will upload the next video so that way you can see all the stuff I've been doing through this entire time. Thank you so much, and see you next week. Remember, next week we're going to have a short quiz when we start the class, and it's all going to be about MVC. Thank you so much. Bye.